Help us understand the mechanics of how passwords are used by bad actors and by hackers. You know, all of us in our heads see the stock image that people like me use and reuse in stories of the hooded hacker who's typing over a keyboard. I've sat with hackers in Ukraine and sat down and password stuffed. Tell me, walk me through the process of what a bad actor might do when he or she is perpetrating a crime like this.
Sure. So I think we already walked through sort of the first piece of the crime, which is taking these known assets, usernames and passwords, and finding places where they could be useful. You know, then they're going to sell those to another bad actor. Right? And so that actor is going to take those, and maybe they're going to move this one step further. They want to qualify how valuable is this password, because the username and password might not be valuable. You say, look, I've got access to this retailer. Let me go look and see. Oh, there's not even a credit card associated with the account. This one's maybe worth 5 cents. You know, or, oh, this one has a credit card and it's in a place that's, you know, has high value and doesn't check on, you know, when you try to ship something, because it's used by people who tend to ship gifts. Those have a higher value. Or it's something at a corporate website that has a lot of value. And so you'll see them, you know, evaluate these. It's almost like taking them to a pawn shop, right? Someone's going to look at it to figure out if I've got something really of value. And then if the ones that are very valuable, you know, they're going to resell again. And now an adversary is going to use that to come into an environment and do a very targeted crime. Right? You know, the early stages all feel like this sort of mass crime of somebody, you know, checking all the doors to see which ones are unlocked. But at some point they say, this is the door that's going to get me $1 million. Or this is the door that's going to get me into a company where I can steal trade secrets. Or that I can use to gain access to their servers, which have far more interesting data on them. Or that get me into somebody's email. So we see, you know, the same sorts of attacks. People go after email accounts with them. Say, oh, I can log in and now I can read your email. And if I don't like who you are, maybe all that I do is publish your email. And now everybody in the world knows what you say when you think you're behind closed doors. What
are the spectrum of threat actors here?
So I think almost everybody can fit into that category, right? There are the folks who are trying to monetize it. So think about, you know, the criminal gangs that operate. You know, you mentioned Ukraine. You know, we see some there. You see in Russia. You see state actors. And often what the state actors are doing is they're supporting smaller entities that are doing a lot of this research. I think we see that heavily in, you know, China as an example. You often see, you know, groups that are not officially associated with the government, but when they're highly successful, they may become co-opted by them later. So we see these, you know, these smaller actors doing it, you know, some for financial gain, some for political gain at the state level. I think we see some of this, but less of it in the sort of the hacktivist community. I think there's much less of an economic ecosystem sort of doing that gig work for them. And so that tends to be sort of more targeted groups that are acting there.